9:05 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. Welcome into the Chris Hand Show. You know, I actually got messages wondering if I got suspended after my interview with Andy Ogles on Twitter. So I wasn't suspended. I still like Andy. It was my sister's wedding. So just a little PTO.
That's fun.
It was all right. It was cool.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
That's it.
It was all right.
It's okay.
I just I don't know. I'm not like a huge fan of like getting dressed up and like forced awkward conversations.
Ooh, yeah. Weddings are a lot of that.
Yeah. And there's a lot of New Hampshire liberals from the other side of the family.
Ah, yes.
So it's a lot of Chris biting his tongue.
Well, at least it's not a contentious time between both groups, so
No.
that's good.
At least we're in a time of peace, right? Jeez Louise. So I'm gone. And then, I find out we're funding the border wall again. But then we're not. I find out that, Hillary Clinton wants to put us in reprogramming camps. The FBI's adding us to more lists. At one point at the wedding, I looked at my dad. I said, I don't know how many lists I'm on at this point. I'm on a few lists. But I mean, the big story of the day is Israel being attacked by Hamas. I'm watching it over the weekend. I have to be honest with you. I'm taking a very hang tight approach. I think that there's certain things that are certainties, and a couple of them is that war is hell. And I think that no matter which side you're getting your news from, it feels like it's heavy propaganda. Like, I feel like the conservative networks have been heavy propaganda. I feel like CNN and MSNBC have been heavy propaganda. I feel like if you're very pro-Israel, then you're going to receive that propaganda. If you're on the side of very pro-Palestine, you're receiving propaganda. And I think that that's one of those things that no matter how you slice it, you're getting a heavy dose of propaganda in this. That being said, your country gets attacked, go handle your business. I don't think that Israel should have any hangups doing what needs to be done. But there's going to come a lot of mess with that. And there's going to be a lot of lives lost. There's going to be a lot of women and children hurt in the process. And I think that's sad on both sides. When you look at this conflict, though, I have a hard time buying the fact that it was an intelligence failure. I do. That's where I'm at. I mean, the attacks come on the 50th anniversary of the Yom Kippur War. Okay, how do you have an intelligence failure? You have a massive intelligence failure, but then it seems like hours later we know it was Iran that funded them. I don't know. It just feels off to me. And I'm operating from the standpoint of Israel will be completely justified doing what needs to be done. And I also am operating from the standpoint that I don't think they need our help to do it. I just don't. Netanyahu said, we're at war and we will win it. And I thought to myself, like, yeah, that checks out. Checks out. But it's going to be messy. It is. And there's no good way around that. It's going to be messy. And, I pray for everybody involved. As at this moment, we have 300,000 people or armed forces from Israel gearing up to enter the fray. And I think that they're going to be severely outmanned and outgunned in Gaza. So we'll see what happens. But as it's all happening, it's hard to not look around and feel like the news cycles and the the conservative media personalities aren't leaning on a heavy side of emotional stimulation and propaganda. Like, even me, I'm operating from the standpoint of Israel was attacked. They have every right to defend themselves, and they're going to win. I still look at what's happening and see the news cycle and feel like it's very emotion driven. And I just want facts. And I feel like it's hard to get facts at this juncture. But at the same time, everybody's saying it was definitely Iran that funded them. And I understand why they're saying that. We just gave $6 billion to Iran for hostages. But then there's the other side of me that says Netanyahu was one of the guys that told us Iraq had weapons of mass destruction and basically helped us get into that forever war. On the flip side of that, it looks like we're trapped in a forever war dealing with that in Ukraine, and we're funding them to the tunes of billions of dollars. And I remember saying it a couple weeks ago with Ukraine. We're going to find ourselves in a position where we can't put our own oxygen mask on and help others. And I still am sitting here looking at what's happening in Israel, feeling like, yeah, we're in a position where we're in tremendous debt, trillions of dollars in debt, and another war. Another war. It sucks. It does. Personally, I want peace. And it seemed like we were trending that way under Trump in the Middle East. I definitely don't think that we were in a position where something like this would have popped off. And I feel like we see a lot of this happening because of the weakness of the Biden administration. I do. But I can't be on the side that's just like, I just feel like a lot of conservative influencers are out there going like, we got to go in there and give them hell. And it feels like they're just cheering on genocide. And I'm not with that either. It is a messy situation. And let me give you an example, right? Lindsey Graham goes on Fox News. This was Saturday night. Okay. So I'm like just getting back into the news cycle Saturday night. Lindsey Graham goes on Fox News. And it seems like we don't even have a full body count yet of what happened in Israel. We don't have a true, accurate reporting of what's happening on the ground. And Lindsey Graham is already saying, we got to take Iran out.
I've been on the phone all day to the Mideast, and I've told our allies and people with connections to Iran, what I would do, I would tell Iran that if Hezbollah attacks Israel, we're going to come after you, the Iranians, and have a coordinated effort between the United States and Israel to put Iran out of the oil business by destroying their refineries. There are 4 major refineries in Iran. They're fixed targets. If Hezbollah attacks Israel, I would make Iran pay a heavy price.
You'd make this public, Senator. You would say if this happens, this would be the response.
I did.
But I'm just saying, is that your recommendation to Blinken, to Austin, or to Biden?
They could do it quietly. I've done it quietly. Now I'm doing it publicly.
They could do it quietly. I mean, the fact of the matter is, Saturday night, we don't have real reporting. We have fake videos circulating. We have real videos circulating. It's hard to distinguish the difference. And Lindsey Graham goes on Fox News and starts saying, we need to get in there and threaten Iran. I'm not with it. I mean, so your first inclination into Israel being attacked by Hamas is instigating another forever war with Iran? Is that what you want to do? I don't know. Maybe that is the right choice, but I don't think that's the right decision to make Saturday night when we're still trying to get a grip on what's happening in Israel. Is that just me? I honestly want to know what you think. 615-737-9986. I don't want this to be an echo chamber. And I feel like as far as conservative media goes, it seemed like an echo chamber over the weekend. It seemed like everybody was on the same side, the same team, the same talking points, the same wavelength. And I'm just over here wondering, how is it that a country with an iron dome didn't see this coming? And if we knew we gave Iran $6 billion and they've, the headlines are saying this has been planned for weeks, how did we miss it? Between Mossad and the CIA and all the intelligence apparatuses around the world, how was it missed? Was this a look the other way and kind of, the Hegelian dialect, right? Like, let a problem happen because then you get the solution that you wanted? Was this, and that's where my head goes. I'm not going to lie to you. But it just seems like immediately everybody's shouting from the rooftops, we got to get Iran. The blood hasn't even been cleaned off the streets, and it's we got to get Iran. Maybe that's true. Maybe we do need to get Iran. But I've told my kids this so many times. I've told this story on the air a couple times before. My daughter's in school. She's starting to pay attention. She's starting to get world events, right? She's in 4th grade. Kids, they talk. Says, Dad, whose side are we on in Russia and Ukraine? Said, hey, anytime Democrats and Republicans agree, run. And I feel like we're in another one of those situations where Democrats and Republicans are agreeing. And I also feel like we have so many problems at home. Do we need to jump into this? I'm operating from a standpoint of Israel is strong enough to handle this on their own. We fund them to the tune of billions a year. And I feel you on Israel's our greatest ally. I get it. I get where you're at. But personally, I don't know, man. I feel like we have an open southern border. I feel like we have a speaker's race that we need to deal with. And I feel like you look at what Israel's doing, 300,000 troops ready to go. I feel like they can handle their business. And I feel like they should. Lindsay in Pleasant Shade, you have a thought on Iran. Lindsay, you're on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. What's up, Lindsay?
I do. Well, it's rainy and gray and raining in Pleasant Shade. So I think we should wipe them off the face of the earth.
Yeah, I mean,
I miss Trump.
No, I see. That's the kind of stuff though that I feel like it is tough for me to get on board with. Like that just feels like genocide talking points.
Well, if we can't do that, at least stick them financially and then help Israel. I'm not saying put our troops all out there in World War III, but at least help the right people.
I just feel like we're going to end up in a World War III scenario if we go down this road. And I can't get behind these wipe them off the face of the earth talking points. But I appreciate the call, Lindsay, and I think that you have every right to think that also. And a lot of people agree with you. Me personally, I don't know. Wipe them off the face of the earth? Like, yikes. It just seems a little bit wild. If you said that the opposite way, then you'd be called anti-Semitic and terrible, and rightfully so. It just seems like these talking points are wild. And I see people on the text line, 7781. Chris Hand, you need to read your Bible. Get a clue, man. Okay? I see another one. Brother Hand, the Iron Dome was overwhelmed with thousands of rockets at the same time. There's a limit on what it can defend. Coordinated attack was trained and planned by Iran military, executed by Hamas. Also, probably true. I'm not saying it wasn't. But I'm saying, man, Mossad is some of the greatest intelligence guys in the world. The CIA is some of the greatest intelligence guys in the world. And it seemed like nobody saw this coming. I don't know. That seems like a bridge too far for me. But, you know, I'm against groupthink. I'm against the echo chamber, and I want to know what you think. We got phone lines full. Yeesh. Joel, Rudy, Brian, Larry, we're going to get to you guys next. It's 9:21 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
All right, looks like right now in Israel, more missiles are headed to Jerusalem as we speak. Missiles going into the air from Gaza as Israel is amassing 300,000 troops to retaliate for that unprecedented attack over the weekend. We've also got a massive earthquake on that side of the planet, and it has killed thousands. Details coming up at 9:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Ken Weaver. It is a big news day here on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. We got you updated all day long. Again, I think that Israel is completely justified defending itself and handling its business. But I get texts. What's wrong with you, Chris? Israel is an ally. They get attacked, we have their back. What if we got attacked? And they said, well, the USA can handle it. I would argue we probably could handle it. That's what I would argue. And this is, again, I'm operating from a standpoint that Israel's strong. They're amassing hundreds of thousands of troops, and they're probably in all reality going to push the you-know-what in of Hamas, Hezbollah, all of them. 100%. That being said, I don't want us to get involved. 4269 said, Chris, I've heard you lean pacifist before. What is it with people under 40 who are squeamish about killing the enemy? Not sure what that is. I'm not squeamish about killing the enemy. I'm not squeamish about killing. I've just... Have you seen death in real time, 4269? One time I saw a guy get run over by a car like 3 feet from me.
Wow.
A lot of pink matter where the head used to be. And I don't want that kind of stuff at anybody's doorstep. I don't want to cheer on genocide. I don't want to cheer on war. I don't want to cheer on death and destruction. I don't think that makes me a pacifist. Just something I don't cheer for. Dave in Hendersonville, you have a comment on Iran. Dave, you're on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. What's up?
What's going on, buddy?
Good, man. How are you?
I'm doing all right. Chris, I got a question, and then I want to comment.
All right, hit me.
You keep saying you don't want to, you're not for genocide.
Yeah.
One, what do you mean? What do you mean when you say that? And I'd like to comment afterwards.
Well, I don't know. Is that a hot take, being anti-genocide? I mean, when people, it just seems like a lot of the talking points are like, we need to wipe them off the face of the earth. We need to go door to door and exterminate. And it's like, whoa. Slow the rhetoric. That's how I feel.
Okay. All right. Well, the genocide was done when they attacked Israel. I mean, they went over there and killing women, children in their homes. They attacked people at that Fez Music Festival.
Horrible.
And they did it all because they were Jewish. That's the genocide, Chris. Going over there and taking them out because they're not going to stop. I don't see that as being genocide. I see that as killing evil that will not stop. They constantly, they look at Israel as they should not be there. They should not exist. Jews should not exist. Chris, that is genocide. And I can't, I can't go with you, brother, with being, that us going over there and wiping them out would be anything close to genocide.
I mean, but it's quite literally the definition.
There's no but to that, Chris. To me, you're taking up.
But if you're wiping out a whole group of people, that's literally the definition of genocide. And I'll argue that in the 70s, Iran was full of bell bottoms and no hijabs until the CIA got involved. I don't think that anybody is a lost cause. I do think that we need to go attack the terrorist groups that caused the attack. And I think that Israel has every right to go in there and handle their business. But I don't think that the cheering for what seems to be genocidal rhetoric is something that we should do as the beacon of light and hope in the world in America.
The cheering, though, Chris, is to get the ones that have done this. They're not. People aren't cheering to go over there.
No, and I'm fine with going to get the ones that did it. I'm fine with going to get the ones that did it. I'm just saying that the rhetoric quickly turns into wipe everyone off the face of the earth, wipe Iran off the face of the earth, wipe Gaza off the face of the earth. And I don't know, it gets a little bit too spicy for me. And it seems like everybody agrees that that's the move. But hey, Dave, you're entitled to your opinion. I appreciate you listening, man, as always. It is 9:32 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Ken Weaver's got the news.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast in 2 minutes. Right now in Wilson County, Lebanon police have shut down the square in Lebanon. The police department, the fire department, Wilson County Emergency Management Agency, they're working a chemical incident near the square. And at this time, they say it is shut down there in Lebanon. Police say stay away from the area and seek alternate routes. Israel now pledging on retaliating against the Hamas militants that launched that widespread attack on its citizens over the weekend. The latest numbers we've seen, the death toll in Israel, at least 800, at least 560 killed in Gaza. And the State Department here in the United States says at least 9 of the dead in the conflict are Americans. And in another part of the world, a frantic search for survivors in Afghanistan after a powerful earthquake struck multiple towns over the weekend. More than 2,500 people are dead, thousands more hurt. And now in this country, Walgreens pharmacy employees say they're getting ready to go on strike. That's the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Hey folks, Paul Winkler here. One of the things that we see from time to time, well, way too often, is this. Let's say that you go to a financial advisor and they say, hey, you need to set up an investment portfolio, and what we need to do is we need to have some of your money in stocks or mutual funds or ETFs or something like that, and we need to have something fixed or guaranteed in your investment portfolio that'll protect you against the market downturns. And quite often what they're talking about, they may not use this word, but often what they're talking about is putting your money into some sort of an annuity, like an indexed annuity or something like that, or a fixed annuity. And what they're doing is they're saying, hey, let's put your money in both of these, which sounds really good. And you should. And typically in an investment portfolio, you do want to have fixed investments and stocks as well in the portfolio to protect against inflation. But here's what happens when you manage a portfolio. Let me use a really, really simple example. Let's say I have a portfolio and I got stocks in there. Then I have my fixed income, my bonds in the portfolio as well. And let's say I have half my money in each. When stocks really do well, what we want to do is they're going to be overweighted in my portfolio. I own too much of them because they've done well compared to bonds. It was supposed to be half and half, and now maybe it's 70% stocks and 30% bonds, let's say, or something like that. So I want to sell some of this and buy some of that to bring it back to 50-50 and back and forth throughout time. Well, the problem is when you're managing a portfolio and rebalancing in that way, bringing it back to the original portfolio mix of half and half in my example, I'm going to have to incur a trading cost or a commission or a back-end surrender with the annuity. It doesn't make any sense to use that product in this particular manner. Why do people do it? Well, the reason quite often is this. Commissions are very high with these products. And a lot of firms, they actually require their advisors to recommend a certain amount of annuities for every person that walks in the door. Now, typically annuities are used for a different purpose. They were actually designed for a totally different purpose. And that was distribution toward the end of life. When somebody looks like they're going to run out of money, they're annuitized. Now, let me tell you something. One study showed there was only like 5% of annuities are ever used in that fashion. Most often they're sold as an accumulation vehicle like this, and they were never really designed for that purpose. If you want to learn more, call us for a free 15-minute phone call or go to our website, paulwinkler.com. The number 615 851-1950 or paulwinkler.com. We don't do anything on commission, and we like to rail against these types of things and help investors do what is in their best interest. paulwinkler.com.
$9:39 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I knew that my take on the Israel conflict would be a little bit spicy for some of y'all. Just to reset, I think what happened via Hamas was abhorrent. I don't think that anybody should be attacking music festivals with paragliders. We have hundreds dead. It's awful. And I think Israel has every right to go in there and fight the terrorists that committed that attack against them. My problem lies in the fact that all of a sudden it seems like we have this orchestrated groupthink on the right, and neocons like Lindsey Graham are coming in and cheering on new wars in the Middle East. So, And I have people saying I've done damage to my testimony as a Christian. That's what our friend John texted. He said, Chris, you don't realize how much damage you have done to your testimony as a Christian, as a born-again Christian saved by the blood of our blessed Savior, Jesus Christ. I'll be praying for you, and I'd hope you get in the closet and get things right with the Lord. P.S. I'm speaking to you as a brother. I'm not sure what this has to do with my Christianity when I'm just anti-genocidal rhetoric. I'm anti-groupthink. I'll also point out, and I said this to Mac off the air, I think that I have infinitely more in common with a Jewish person or a Muslim person than I do with an atheist. Just from the sheer fact that we stand in agreement of a higher power. I I also don't know why we conflate religion with governments. That seems weird to me too, and that seems like a groupthink. I've seen reports that yes, the $6 billion and Iran were all in the mix on that. But how do you have an intelligence failure like that where you let in thousands of people and then know hours later that it was Iran and they were planning it for weeks? Just seems a little off. It does. And it seems like everybody's jumping on the groupthink train on the right. I'm also operating from a position of I think that Israel has every right to go in and fight those terrorists, and I think that Israel's gonna push their bleep in. I do. I think that teeth will be sent down throats, and I think they have every right to do that. But I'm not here being like, we need to wipe them off the face of the earth. Woo! Like, no, I don't get behind that. I'm not a fan of that. In any other conversation besides this conflict, you couldn't have that conversation in those talking points. Like, if we're talking about the border, I can't come on the radio and be like, we need to go wipe them out and get them off the face of the earth because they keep crossing the southern border. It wouldn't be acceptable, and I don't feel like it should be acceptable in any other conversation either. That's just me. What do you think? 615-737-9986. Corey in Murfreesboro, you've been hanging on for a while. What's up, Corey? You're on Super Talk.
Oh, not much, my friend. Appreciate you taking my call.
Yeah, of course.
As a atheist, I will say that I am 100% with you on everything you said, even with the genocide talk. I 100% get what you're trying to say, and I'm right there with you. I will say that my biggest fear, though, is not whether we're supporting Israel or not. It's Taiwan. So my thinking is that if people think things are bad now, if there's 3 fronts we have to talk about or cover or whatever, that will be the end of the, whatever you want to say, not the world, but just the end of the debate, if anything else, that yes, they have every right to defend themselves. I know for a fact Israel is more capable than Ukraine in defending themselves because they've been doing it for so long. I will encourage everybody that is listening to watch the PragerU video they did about Israel and their history and how they've defended themselves against countless attacks. And but my biggest fear right now would be that this will embolden the Chinese to go after Taiwan, and then we got to figure out who's more important to the United States, and then pick winners or losers again. So that just creates more divide, yada, yada kind of thing. So, yeah,
I mean, I appreciate the call, Corey. Thanks so much. I think that there's definitely fear that this translates into a World War III scenario. Seems like, Israel, Palestine, it obviously always goes in that direction. It's just wild, And it's wild that it's like I look at the super text line. It's like, man, I got a lot of people who think I'm a bad Christian, and I got a lot of people who are on my side. But it just seems like the groupthink it gets chaotic. It really does. Steve in Lebanon, you have a comment on Iran. Steve, you're on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. What's up, Steve?
Yeah, hey Chris. I would never call in, but this really struck a chord with me.
I'm glad you did.
Man, I look at this as, I mean, how far, I guess I'm asking you or anybody, how far would this have to go before we should get involved? Let's say genocide or not. And by saying genocide, I don't think any race or country, if you look at the definition, I don't think we should go in and wipe anybody off the face of the earth. But if Iran is supporting people that go and do this type of thing, that's like paying a hitman in the United States. I mean, you're going to be prosecuted.
Mm-hmm.
You're giving them the money. You may not be the one going and doing it, but you're in trouble just like the person that went and did it. So to me, Iran should be held accountable. I don't know what that looks like. I don't think it's going and genocide is an extreme example, and I don't think that's what it would be. But at the same time, if we don't hold them accountable, who is? It's like I mean, who else is going to go in and take care of business? If
I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. I mean, I'm operating from a standpoint that I think Israel will be able to handle their business personally.
Okay.
That's how I'm operating. I mean, they at a moment's notice they have 300,000 troops lined up and ready to go, right? So
Yeah.
I am assuming, and maybe I'm wrong, but I am assuming that Israel's operating from a place of strength. I don't want to get involved at all. I just don't. I feel like we have too many problems on our home front. We are already funding a forever war in Ukraine. We just got out of a forever war in Afghanistan where we left behind billions of military equipment that ended up back in the hands of the terrorists that went after Israel. Like, especially with this current regime that we have, I honestly fear that we are going to make another bad decision that we will have unforeseen consequences again down the road. So I don't. I'm not.
The one thing I would say is if we don't get involved, and there's no right or wrong in this. I don't think we just got to see how it plays out. But if at some point we don't get involved at a point we should have, and this could turn into World War III because we don't get involved as well. Is what all these people understand is violence. They don't understand talking. I mean, Obama and Biden.
If it turns into World War III, we're screwed. I think that one of the things that you have to realize is like we have a wide open southern border right now, and if anything, this is showing us is how unprepared we are here in America. Because if you can have a lapse of intelligence on that border, what are we doing letting in people from the terrorist watch list over our border?
That's a big issue too.
Like it is absolutely you're asleep if you don't think that there are sleeper cells in this country waiting to go at a moment's notice. And I think that we have.
If a family can walk across the border, a trained terrorist can.
100%, or a Chinese national, or somebody from Hamas or whoever, Taliban, you name it. They're in this country too, and I think that we need to handle our own problems first. The Biden regime and their weakness on the southern border, on the international stage, has absolutely 100% without a doubt led to this. And I just pray that we can take care of ourselves first. That's where I'm at. I don't want to get into another Middle East forever war with Iran. Like, I just don't. And I feel like it seems like everybody on the right, the groupthink is like, we got to go get Iran. It's all right. Like, let's just can we wait 10 days before we light the world on fire? Like, can we just get some facts? Like, they're saying the Washington.
I would agree with that.
The Washington Post.
We don't have enough info yet.
Yeah, the Washington Post is like saying, oh, this is the Washington Post printed an article that said it'll take years to unravel what happened with the intelligence lapse at their border in Israel. Years. So we got to make a decision on whose side we're on and what we're going to do and start talking genocide after 4 days?
Well, to me, if somebody's bullying me and beating me up and I've got a friend at school and they don't come get my back, then they've picked a side. They picked the bully's side. So at some point in time,
if your friend, if the bully is like 5'4" and your friend is 6'1" and jacked, like, you don't really need to help him out. And that's how I feel like Hamas versus Israel. Is it sad? Yes. Were innocents killed? Yes. When Israel rightfully strikes back and handles their business, is it going to be sad that innocents are going to be killed? Yes. Innocents are going to be killed on both sides.
Evil stuff, though.
Like,
that festival and all that. That's just
100%. 100%. Totally agree with you.
They don't deserve much leeway, in my opinion.
I don't think
if somebody did it here.
And I'm not telling Israel to pull punches. And I'm not a fan of that kind of think that Israel shouldn't go defend themselves. Heck yeah. I would have already been kicking indoors if it was us. But I don't think that they're unprepared for this. I don't think that they're ill-prepared for this. I think they're equipped and they're ready for this exact type of thing. And I don't think that we need to get involved.
Okay. But if they called and asked us, would you go?
I wouldn't, no. And I wouldn't want to send my sons over there either. I mean, Like my friends died in Afghanistan and Iraq. Like I don't want to go to another Middle East war.
Like, what if they go on to another country and do it again? I mean, would there be a point you would agree with this?
Agree with what?
Going after the people that fund these terrorist groups. How bad would it have to get? I mean,
if you want to go after the people that fund, if you want to go after the people that fund these terrorist groups, it starts with the Biden administration, point blank. I mean, the Biden administration is leaving behind our military tech. The Biden administration is giving $6 billion to Iran. You want to go after who's funding them, it's Joe Biden. Thanks for the call, Steve. I do appreciate you, and I appreciate everybody hanging on the line. More of your calls next. It is 9:51 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
All right, got some police activity in Lebanon. The square in Lebanon is closed because of a hazmat situation. So police are telling everybody to stay away from the square in Lebanon right now. Find an alternate route if you can. And then coming up at 10, we've got all the latest news. Israel at war. More rockets are flying back and forth between Israel and Gaza. We've got more than 2,000 people dead in a massive earthquake, and it looks like another group of workers getting ready to hit the picket lines here in this country. These stories and more at 10 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Ken Weaver. It is 9:58 already, man. The show is flying by. I got all you guys hanging on the line, and we'll get to your calls next. I am reading some of these super texts. 8212 sent in a great text. Should we come out strong and show that we stand with Israel? And should they need us? Absolutely, we're there. But let's not pretend Israel isn't armed to the teeth with some of the strongest military in the world. Exactly. Everyone needs to take a step back and breathe. Here we are again, watching the abhorrent actions of evil and ready to charge in and save the damsel in distress. But Israel isn't a damsel, and treating them as such is an insult as well. That was from 8212. I totally agree with that. Israel is very strong. And I think that they're more than capable of handling this. But it seems like the rhetoric is like, we got to go fight Iran. Okay. Just seems weird. I got another text from 4864. You lost your ever-loving friggin' mind, dude. Between this opinion today and your support of Matt Gaetz, IDK. Well, wait until you hear some of my controversial opinions. It's 10 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Here's Ken Weaver with the news.
Ten o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. And again, the square in Lebanon is shut down. Police are saying stay away. You've got police there. You've got the fire department and the Wilson County Emergency Management Agency for a hazmat situation on the square in downtown Lebanon. Full forecast in 2 minutes. Israel at war. Rockets flying back and forth again between Israel and Gaza. There's thick black smoke billowing over Gaza City right now.
Airstrikes continuing over Gaza, retaliation against Hamas for the surprise Israel incursion that has left more than 1,000 people dead. ABC News World News anchor David Muir in Tel Aviv.
The Israeli Defense Ministry declaring a total siege of the Gaza Strip. No power, no water, no electricity. They say they're dealing with barbaric terrorists and that we will act accordingly. This is Israel's 9/11.
With more on Israel's possible role in planning the attack and the attack on Iran, Deputy National Security Advisor Jonathan Feiner telling Good Morning America that role of Iran has not yet been confirmed.
What we don't have is direct information that shows Iranian involvement in ordering or planning the attacks that took place over the last couple of days. It's something that we're going to keep looking at closely. And by the way, this is what the Israeli government has said as well.
The spokesman does say the Israeli military has regained control of border communities taken by Hamas fighters during the attack. With continuing coverage, Israel at war.
That is Sherry Preston reporting. Here in Nashville, the Jewish Federation plans to rally for peace tonight. They invite everyone to the Gordon Jewish Community Center in West Nashville starting at 7. Right now in another part of the world, a frantic search for survivors in Afghanistan after a powerful earthquake struck multiple towns over the weekend. More than 2,500 people confirmed dead, thousands more hurt. And Walgreens pharmacy employees signaling a possible strike on the horizon, citing harsh working conditions. As many as 700 workers from the 9,000 stores across the country could walk as soon as today. That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
10:05 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. I do not want to get involved in another war in the Middle East. I do not want to be looped in with all the happenings that are happening in the Middle East currently. As far as America goes, I think we have a litany of problems that we should be dealing with first. That being said, I don't think we need to get involved. I think Israel has every right to go fight Hamas, Hezbollah, terrorists. I think that they have all the capability to handle it. They're amassing 300,000 troops right now, and they're going to mop the floor with them. But personally, I feel like we get into this echo chamber of on the right, the whole Israel's our greatest ally, we have to do everything, when I don't think they need our help. And I don't think that us jumping in is the right thing. I think that'll make things worse. I can see a lot of you disagree with me. And that's totally cool. Because I don't like the echo chamber. And it seems like, at least for me, all weekend long, watching wall-to-wall blanket coverage of this on every single network, MSNBC, CNN, Fox News, Newsmax, everybody's talking about it. It just seems like it's groupthink from everyone, left and right. And everybody is so going heavy on emotion and trying to emotionally manipulate us through these videos and these testimonies of what's happening. And yes, it's sad. It's sad anytime innocent people lose their lives. It is. But I think that Israel is more than capable to handle the issue. I mean, we have a president that didn't even find out what was happening. He wasn't even briefed until the next morning. Seriously, the next morning.
I got up this morning, started this at 7:30, 8 o'clock, my calls. Hamas terrorists crossing in Israel, killing not only Israeli soldiers, but Israeli civilians.
I mean, we have a president who literally couldn't be woken up to be briefed on this. It happened at 11:30 Eastern when everything all went down.
So he found out like a lot of normal people did in the United States.
Right after his first cup of coffee.
Yep.
I got up this morning, started this at 7:30, 8 o'clock, my calls.
Wow.
I mean, that's our leadership. We have a speaker race that we need to handle. We have a wide open southern border where we're letting in terrorists on the terror watch list over the border. We're letting Chinese nationals across the border. And it seems like everybody is just screaming that we have to go help protect another country. Like, we have so many problems here at home. And I've made this argument before. We are not putting our oxygen mask on first in this country. And we're going to find ourselves in a position where we can't help our allies. I don't think our ally needs help at this point. I don't think Netanyahu is going to be coming and begging for funds the way Zelensky does in Ukraine. I think they're just going to go handle business. That being said, it seems like a lot of people just go like straight to genocidal talking points, wipe them off the map. I mean, I got a text here that somebody said, 1832 texted, he said, ever heard of Sodom and Gomorrah or Noah and the flood? Just saying, there's precedent. All right. I don't want to go full Noah on anybody. Like, there's going to be innocent women and kids in the mix. There's going to be a lot of bloodshed. I just don't understand how people can root for more bloodshed. And there will be more blood. There will be. That is the only thing that is certain right now. That's the only thing that's certain.
And you leave open the opportunity for it being at your doorstep, the more blood that's shed. So, yeah.
I just feel like we need to get our house in order first. 100%. Larry in Clarksville, you've been waiting for a long time, my man. Larry, what's up? You're on Super Talk 99.7.
Hey, Chris. Thanks for taking my call. And I completely agree with you on several things, and I kind of disagree with you on a couple of others.
That's okay. Where do you want to start? You want to start where we agree, or you want to start where we disagree?
Well, let's start where we agree. First of all, there is not a war that Lindsey Graham does not like or want.
100%.
Secondly, yes, Biden and Obama have funded this war and outrage by giving Iran, it's not just the $6.5 billion, it's actually closer to like $65 billion over the years. Letting them ship out their oil, letting them do all this. I do not believe in genocide, and I also do agree that Israel is capable of handling their stuff. What I do disagree with you is, well, and let me say, I agree with you also that, yes, under this administration, any war we get into will be another forever war. This would not have happened had Trump still been president. I truly believe that. And listen, there were things I disagree with Trump about.
Yep. I agree with that too. I think when you come from a position of strength, that nobody was willing to do this kind of stuff under Trump.
But where I do disagree is that the only thing Iran or North Korea understand is force. And we also, and here, put on your tinfoil hat, it would not surprise me if our CIA knew all about this stuff and either hid it and didn't inform anyone, or if the CIA actually helped cause this, because this administration, just like under Obama, has not been true friends to Israel. But by George, they sure as heck have been good friends to Iran.
No, and I agree with that point, Larry. Thanks for the call. Here's the thing. In chess, you're willing to sacrifice a pawn to win the game. You are. And I feel like there are powerful movers and shakers out there that are absolutely willing to sacrifice pawns to win the game. Got a text here. I would have never guessed WTN would have a pacifist on its channel hosting. What has this world come to? I'm not a pacifist at all. I'm just not a fan of going full scorched earth and genocide, 64-36. And it seems like that's where a lot of the talking points go. Maybe that makes me a pacifist. Is that the new anti-genocide is pro-pacifism? Is that what that is?
Yeah, pretty sure that's it now.
All right, cool. Let's write that one down so I don't forget. Brent in Manchester, you have a comment on Iran. You've been waiting for a while. What's up, Brent? Thanks for holding.
Hey, Chris. I think you're really on track being skeptical about all of this. It just seems like the military-industrial complex is sort of on the march, and we have things popping off everywhere. And it makes one wonder, is that why they were so, the deep state was so interested in getting rid of Trump, because he wasn't big on this stuff? Remember, they had to drag him into the little skirmish in Syria in his first year. And even Johnson was skeptical of the Gulf of Tonkin in his tapes to Lady Bird.
Oh, and we know how the Gulf of Tonkin ended up.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, hey, I appreciate the call, Brent. Thanks so much. This is where we're at. It's a crazy world that we're living in. We may not know the true nature of all of this until multiple years down the road. I mean, that's what the Washington Post is reporting. They said it'll take years to unravel the intelligence failure. Years. And I feel like a lot of this is emotional manipulation that we're seeing. I mean, all right, so there have been multiple fake videos going around on Twitter. So there's a video of a tower block in Gaza being hit by a missile, but that's from May of 2021. It's not from today. It was captured live during a BBC Arabic broadcast. It was viewed hundreds of thousands of times. There's a video of a house in Gaza being destroyed by a strike, which is genuine, but it's also from May of this year. It's not fresh escalation. There's a video of a house being struck by Israel, also from May of this year, not over the weekend. There's videos being shared by conservative influencers that have been viewed millions of times that actually show Israeli police and special forces outside of a house and it's being claimed that it's Hamas militants. And it's okay to understand that, like, the fog of war is real and that we need to, like, slow down and wait to see what happens. That's okay. I don't like when everybody just, something happens and it just seems like the left and the right, everybody just jumps in and agrees. I feel like that's dangerous. We're going down a dangerous path when we're all just blindly agreeing and not questioning anything. That got us into Iraq, you know? Just that got us into so many forever wars. I'm old enough to remember that. And I'm old enough to remember that Netanyahu was a big fan of going into Iraq as well, saying that there were weapons of mass destruction. Now, I'm not saying that he's in the wrong for defending his country today, but I'm saying that we would be wrong for just acting on emotion currently without waiting until we get all the facts. Like, slow down. Just slow down. That's where I'm at. Joe in Nashville, it says that you have a different perspective. Joe, you're on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. What's up?
Hey, what's up, man?
How you doing?
I'm all right. The first, I'll just say like just one or two small things about what's going on with Israel and Iran. You were right a while ago about the leadership. We don't have strong leadership, and that's why it's happening. Decades ago, this wouldn't have happened because of our leadership. But the leadership we have now, and that's why it's taking place, because they know that we all, everybody's saying we're going to do something, but we're not going to. I mean, to be honest.
No, I feel like the only thing that we could do would be make a mistake on a grand scale at this point.
Right. Do something crazy. And what I've heard a lot of news people call these militants. They're not militants. They're terrorists.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
need to address them correctly.
No. I appreciate the call, Joe. And I'm not trying to say that they're anything but terrorists. And I'm not trying to say that Israel doesn't have a right to go defend themselves. I just think that Israel can defend themselves. A texter pointed out a while ago that they're armed to the teeth. To have this fairy tale view that Israel is a damsel in distress is just, it's incorrect. They're more than capable to handle themselves. And I think that it's okay for us to just slow our roll and wait until we see exactly what's happening. But it seems like everybody's just banging the war drum. I mean, Lindsey Graham goes on Fox News not 24 hours after everything kicks off and is just pointing the finger at Iran, saying we need to go blow up their oil refineries. Okay. I mean, maybe I'd be more for blowing up oil refineries if we weren't canceling our own gas leases here in the country. Maybe if we were energy independent, I could get on board with that, but we're not. Joel in Mount Juliet, you've been hanging for a while, man. Joel, you're on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. What's up, Joel?
Hey, Chris. Thanks for taking my call.
Absolutely.
The first thing I got to say is to all the Christians, and I air quote that call in and say, that basically are talking against you, and you're trying to make a point. Maybe they should read Matthew chapter 5:38, eye for an eye, all the way down to verse 48, because this is not what Jesus preached. If someone slaps you on the cheek, you give them the other cheek. And it bothers me so much that you have Christians calling for active war. And then two, the ones that are calling for like some sort of like us getting involved, they're the ones who have nothing at stake. They're the ones who would never ever be on the front line or anything like that.
Oh,
I mean, do
you think Lindsey Graham is going to send his grandchildren to fight that war?
No. And I this comes from a soldier, someone that joined after 9/11, someone that's trained to shoot people in the face. I never got that chance. I'm so glad because I was a young man then. I'm an older man now, and I understand the consequences to that. And my last point, everybody forgets history. They don't want to look in the past. Israel, in 1967, fought a 6-day war against 8 Islamic countries. They were outnumbered probably like 3-1. They absolutely obliterated them in 6 days. I think Israel's got it covered.
Yeah, and
So,
I'm with
thank you
you
for-
there. I think that. Thanks for the call, Joel. I think Israel is very strong, and that's why I'm like, why do we have to jump into a war with Iran? Because Hamas attacked Israel. I feel like Israel could handle all of that. Although I will make one point to Joel. I don't like pacifist Jesus. I also know that Jesus would flip tables and make a whip by hand and chase bankers when things get out of hand. Jesus also said, "Sell your cloak, grab a sword." Like, I get that, but I also agree that Israel is more than capable, hands down. But yeah, the people that call for war will find every excuse to get out of war themselves. They want to send you to war. They don't want to go. 1021 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, it's Chris Hanford, Jeff Eddy's Efficient Heating and Cooling. I know it can be so hard to find somebody you trust when it comes to these large home repairs. And this includes heating and cooling, but it's that time of the year where you're starting to kick on your heater. I did it myself this morning. And if you find yourself kicking on your heater and it's not working, you got to call somebody. Well, call my friends at Efficient Heating and Cooling. They're a small company with big service and results. I trust Jeff and his crew to do what's right because they've proved it time and time again. And when I got to sit down and have lunch with Jeff, he's the same guy that we tell you about. He's an honest, hardworking family man, good Christian. And if you're trying to make that decision to repair or replace your system, Jeff is the guy to call. Whether it's him or his crew, they'll walk you through every option and scenario so that way you can make an informed decision. Because the other companies, well, they'll just pressure you to replace your system. Because, you guessed it, they make more money that way. But with Efficient, they offer up to 18 months same as cash financing on your next unit should you need one. They're a diamond contractor with Mitsubishi Electric and an Elite Pro partner with Rheem. So go with Efficient and hit up efficienthvac.net or call 615-784-4424.
Right now in Wilson County, Lebanon, Town Square is shut down due to a chemical incident. Apparently, chemicals caught fire in a some sort of trash container there in the Lebanon Town Square. So it is shut down. Everybody has been evacuated and told to stay away. Got more airstrikes in Gaza as the conflict in the Middle East continues. Union workers at Mack Trucks now on strike, and Walgreens pharmacy employees may be getting ready to. These stories and more at 10:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Ken Weaver. It is 10:25 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Doris in Spring Hill, you've been waiting on the line for a minute. Doris, thank you for holding. You're on Super Talk. What's up, Doris?
Okay, I just want to say a few things. One, you are totally right. Two, those people has been fighting ever since biblical times. Three, we need to let them handle their own business. We have got enough problems here in the United States without thinking about going to another country trying to straighten them out. We are fighting one another right here in the United States. We can't get along, and we think we're going to another country to help somebody else. They don't appreciate that. Let them handle their own business. We need to stay at home and handle ours.
Amen.
That's all I got to say.
Hey, I appreciate you, Doris. Thanks so much for calling in and for hanging on the line. Doris nailed it.
Bingo.
Do we just go to break now? I mean, Doris said
That's
everything.
it. I think that's the show.
Rudy, you're driving. You got a comment on Iran. Rudy, what's up? You're on Super Talk.
Yeah, I'm just a little disappointed that as a population we are not totally hacked off at the leadership that has allowed this to happen.
Yeah, I think you're
Biden
absolutely right.
probably, Biden and the Democrats are for anything that'll take the light off of them, so they don't have to keep scurrying under the refrigerator when you turn on the light like a bunch of cockroaches. And the people that have been in Washington forever as supposed conservatives, they seem to be all for jumping into something that from afar we can support Israel, but we don't have to go in there and do something to Iran. I think the people here who allowed this to happen should be held accountable.
Yeah.
Where's Biden and the Democrats in allowing funds to go back to a country that does not want Israel to exist? It's just crazy. We should be hacked off at them.
No, and I think you're absolutely right. This weakness on the world stage has directly led to this. The pulling out of Afghanistan that way let that military tech from us go on the black market. There's reports that Ukraine is selling military tech on the black market. And all of this just emboldens these people and gives them good, nice gear. I saw videos with shiny M4s. I wonder where those came from.
I'll tell you, man, they should stop giving money to Ukraine and just, if they need weapons, give them weapons.
Yeah.
Don't give them funds. Give them weapons. That's what they need.
I mean, I feel you to a certain extent. We already fund Israel to the tune of billions a year. I feel like they're ready for this. They got 300,000
I'm
troops.
not worried about Israel.
Yeah, I'm not worried about them either. I just don't want to turn this into another forever war, which seems like that's what the powers that be are pushing us towards.
This could be them trying to light a fuse to see if we can go to the world war, in my opinion.
It absolutely could be, unless more people speak out against it. I think that it's a powder keg. It absolutely is. There's no getting around that.
I mean, I'll be honest. My knee-jerk reaction is bomb the hell out of them. But then when you step back and go, well, we kind of brought this on the world to a certain extent because of the Biden administration and the Democrats. We should lay that at their feet and just, don't even let them get away from that stink, man.
Without a doubt. And thanks for the call, Rudy. I appreciate you. It's absolutely falls at the feet of the Biden administration. And it was my knee-jerk reaction that we should bomb the you-know-what out of them. Yeah, that thought crossed my mind. And then I realized Israel can just handle it. Why do we need to get involved? Can we fix our border first before we already worry about Ukraine's border. Now we're worried about Israel's border. Can we please just handle our border? Just real quick. Is that all right? 10:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Ken Weaver's got the news.
.30 on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. And right now in Wilson County, Lebanon Town Square shut down due to a chemical fire. Police, firefighters, and emergency management are working it. And they ask that you stay away from Lebanon Town Square until they've given the all clear. Full forecast coming up in 2 minutes. More airstrikes now in Gaza. I mean, they are almost continuous right now. Huge plumes of black smoke floating into the air. Thunderous explosions like every 5 seconds now from Israel into Gaza, as Israel has said it will retaliate for that unprecedented attack on it from Hamas militants over the weekend. Union workers in this country at Mack Trucks are the latest auto workers to go on strike. They walked off the job this morning, about 5,000 of them. And now Walgreens pharmacy employees signaling a possible strike on the horizon, citing harsh working conditions. Could be 700 of those Walgreens workers from 9,000 stores nationwide hitting the picket lines as soon as today. That's the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Hey folks, Paul Winkler here. One of the things that we see from time to time, well, way too often, is this. Let's say that you go to a financial advisor and they say, hey, you need to set up an investment portfolio, and what we need to do is we need to have some of your money in stocks or mutual funds or ETFs or something like that, and we need to have something fixed or guaranteed in your investment portfolio that'll protect you against the market downturns. And quite often what they're talking about, they may not use this word, but often what they're talking about is putting your money into some sort of an annuity, like an indexed annuity or something like that, or a fixed annuity. And what they're doing is they're saying, hey, let's put your money in both of these, which sounds really good. And you should. And typically in an investment portfolio, you do want to have fixed investments and stocks as well in the portfolio to protect against inflation. But here's what happens when you manage a portfolio. Let me use a really, really simple example. Let's say I have a portfolio and I got stocks in there. Then I have my fixed income, my bonds in the portfolio as well. And let's say I have half my money in each. When stocks really do well, what we want to do is they're going to be overweighted in my portfolio. I own too much of them because they've done well compared to bonds. It was supposed to be half and half, and now maybe it's 70% stocks and 30% bonds, let's say, or something like that. So I want to sell some of this and buy some of that to bring it back to 50-50 and back and forth throughout time. Well, the problem is when you're managing a portfolio and rebalancing in that way, bringing it back to the original portfolio mix of half and half in my example, I'm going to have to incur a trading cost or a commission or a back-end surrender with the annuity. It doesn't make any sense to use that product in this particular manner. Why do people do it? Well, the reason quite often is this. Commissions are very high with these products. And a lot of firms, they actually require their advisors to recommend a certain amount of annuities for every person that walks in the door. Now, typically annuities are used for a different purpose. They were actually designed for a totally different purpose. And that was distribution toward the end of life. When somebody looks like they're going to run out of money, they're annuitized. Now, let me tell you something. One study showed there was only like 5% of annuities are ever used in that fashion. Most often they're sold as an accumulation vehicle like this, and they were never really designed for that purpose. If you want to learn more, call us for a free 15-minute phone call, or go to our website, paulwinkler.com. The number, 615-851-1950 or paulwinkler.com. We don't do anything on commission, and we like to rail against these types of things and help investors do what is in their best interest. paulwinkler.com.
Hey, if you need something for your foundation issues, call USS. They take the stress out of home repairs. What's going on? It's Chris Hand here for USS. Now, if you've been noticing stuff happening in your house, like cracks in your basement floors, wet basement walls, maybe water in your crawl space. If you haven't been down in your crawl space in a little while, you should just poke your head down there. It's one of those things where the guys at USS say you don't know you need their service until you know you need it. And if you haven't poked your head down there in a while, maybe you do have water in your crawl space. Well, if you have any of those things, water in your crawl space, wet basement walls, cracks in those basement floors, that's your house trying to tell you something. And the guys at USS want to check it out for you. So give them a call today, 615-488-7855. With 25,000 satisfied customers in Middle Tennessee, I'm confident that you will be satisfied as well, no matter what you need. Crawl space encapsulation, crawl space floor supports, basement wall realignment, anything, they got you covered. The guys at USS. Hit up USSTN.com or call 615-488-7855. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. The conversation has really been dominated today by Israel, Hamas, Iran, forever wars, and me not wanting to get into another forever war. I tell my kids this all the time. If a Republican and a Democrat agree on something, run. And it seems like all the powers that be agree. Iran did this, and we need to go do something to Iran now. At least that's what the online conversation has turned into. How do you feel about it? 615-737-9986. Anthony in Gallatin, you've been hanging on the phone for a minute. What's up, Anthony? You're on Super Talk.
Hey, Chris. Thanks for taking my call.
Absolutely.
I love your show. You got the Patrick Mahomes, the producers back there.
Oh, yeah.
You hit a lot of the points. Like, I agree with a lot of your points on the whole Israel conflict. Now, of course, like, my first emotional feeling is, American blood's been spilled. It's time to stack bodies. But I understand, though, too, that we're not in a position to do that. Like you said, Israel, it doesn't take much research to find out that Israel has a gangster military. They are up there with the best of the best, and I think
Absolutely.
They are more than capable of especially their Air Force. Their Air Force is one to be reckoned with. They're up there. They're up there with the United States. They're up there with Japan. They're up there with Russia. I mean, in today's world, wars are won and lost in the air anymore. But I think it's a terrible move for America to intervene as well, just because that opens us up to attacks on American soil. If you want to see another 9/11 of some sort, that's how you do it. And I don't think that we should be sticking our nose where it doesn't need to be. We've been doing it for years and years and years. I mean, obviously, America, we're the most powerful military in the world, contrary to popular belief. But our leadership is our military can't be led efficiently with the leadership we have in office. And it's a terrible thing, but I think Israel's got this, and America needs to stay out. And that's my take on it. Thanks, Chris.
Hey, I appreciate the call, Anthony, and I appreciate you hanging on the hold for as long as you did. Yeah, I mean, I totally agree. And we have problems here at home. If any of the videos that you're seeing coming out display anything for you and make you feel a type of way, for me, what I saw was, laws that we have would leave us ill-prepared for this. Like, I don't know, carrying a weapon, not being allowed at music festivals. You see these guys paraglide into a music festival and take people out. We need a more armed citizenry. They got through one of the most defended borders in the entire world because of an intelligence lapse, alleged. Well, we have a border that is one of the weakest in the world, where we know people on the terror watch list are coming through, and we do nothing. We do nothing. I mean, if this galvanizes the right in any type of way, I wish it would galvanize us in an attempt to push more Second Amendment rights, push more private firearm ownership, get ourselves ready for that next terror attack that could be around the corner for us, because they're here. They're here, and they're planning stuff. Like, if you see what's happening in Israel, it's hard to imagine that they're not planning something similar here. Israel can handle Israel. I think that we need to be worried about our own country and getting our ducks in a row here. Cecil in Smyrna. What are your thoughts on Iran? What's up? What's up?
Hey, you're absolutely right, man. Israel, people don't know it, though, but Israel, they're, as far as military tactics, the special forces adopted their policies. They were the first ones to enact, so they're more than capable of fighting and attacking themselves. And what that guy said about Christians turn the other cheek, he forgets Abraham took 300 people to save Lot. Christians have been slaughtering, fighting against Muslims, man, since the beginning of time, doing a great crusade and everything. So we turn our cheek, we be Muslims right now.
Fair
so there's
enough.
times that we have to fight, but also I'm worried about what's taking place in New York, because we have Israelis and we have Palestinians that are here. Now, Biden has himself in a pretty tricky situation right here because of his non-support of Israel. Him and Obama don't care anything about Israel. And all he said is that they have the right to defend themselves. But at the same time, though, Netanyahu said a long time ago, when even Barack Obama's in office, they're not going to wait for permission in order to protect themselves. They're going to take care of Palestine. There's no peaceful situation to this. This is total obliteration. And so we have to worry about the retaliation of the Palestinians that's in America because of what's going to take place over there. It's going to be total annihilation by Israel. So we have to worry about watching our backs here and watching the people here that are crossing our borders because of our leadership that's in Washington that's opening our borders up. And we're also going to get hit with COVID again. They're talking about COVID on the rise. COVID is coming back because all the people they're letting in, they're not vaccinated.
Oh, no. Not COVID.
Oh, yeah. It's going to be another war dealing with that. You let all these million, Jesus sitting right next to your daughter in class up here, and sitting up here don't know a lick of English, but yet it still hasn't been vaccinated with no diseases and no nothing like that, sitting right up there in class with COVID. Everything's going to happen all over again, all because of what's happening in the border. You can't let hundreds of thousands of people into a country and haven't been vaccinated, don't know anything about our culture, and they're sitting right next to your child in school, and we want to say kumbaya. The hell with that.
Yeah, no, I mean, we have way too many problems here at home, and I totally agree with you. Thanks for the call, Cecil. Israel can handle themselves. Israel's not going to wait for permission, and I don't even believe that they've asked for help. I think that they're just going to go, chew bubble gum and kick butt, but they're all out of gum, Seems
I was going to ask that. Has there been calls for our help from them and asking for certain packages? I
have not seen that yet, although the news cycle moves fast. So there's a chance that I could have missed it. But, I mean, you are seeing Palestinian protesters in New York clashing with Israel supporters. You're seeing Palestinian protesters in front of the White House. It's just insanity. Like, yes, we have all of these people here. We have our own problems here at home, and we should be taking care of that first. Because this groupthink of we got to go help Israel, they don't need it. They don't need our help. Maybe I'm wrong. Ethan in Gallatin, you're on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Ethan, am I wrong? Do you agree with me or disagree?
Oh, I agree with you 100%, Chris. The past two callers have nailed it completely for me. I'm the same way. I feel like we have got to worry about America first, and the border's wide open. We have who knows in our country, and a lot of terrorists, a lot of bad guys, and I think Israel can take care of themselves, and we need to use our Second Amendment right to arm ourselves and protect ourselves here first.
Yeah, what do you think when you see like all of the politicians on the right, all of the conservative influencers online, all kind of just all of a sudden agreeing that we need to do everything it takes to protect Israel? Does that feel weird to you? Does that feel inorganic?
That just goes to show we're under we're under a one party rule. It's there's one person at the top that is controlling everything, and everybody else is just going to go along. And we need somebody in there that can, disrupt that and bring America back to the way it was.
Yeah, I agree. Thanks for the call, Ethan. Really appreciate you. It just feels, to me, it feels inorganic when bad thing happens and then everybody agrees that they need to do X to prevent bad thing. It just feels off. The whole thing feels off. Again, I mean, you can break it down. It's like, yes, the USA gave Iran money. Iran gives money to Hamas. Hamas bought weapons on the black market. Ukraine has sold weapons on the black market. It's an absolute mess, and it seems like our government is funding both sides of it. Yet at home, on the home front, we have a lot going on. We have a speaker race that we're going to need to deal with. We have a wide open border that we're going to need to deal with. And, the money that we're giving Iran for hostage payments is now being used to allegedly finance Hamas attacking Israel. It's like, can we just stop making bad decisions for a couple minutes? Like, can we not make emotional decisions as a nation? That's where I'm at. I feel like we've been thinking too emotionally, and it gets us into the land of unforeseen consequences. Like, funding Ukraine against big bad Russia sounds good to a lot of people. I never really was a fan of it, but I could understand. I could understand where people's thought process was, but then that leads us down a road of, black market weapon sales. Getting American hostages home sounds good. Like, I can understand why people are big fans of it. That gives Iran $6 billion to fund terrorists. Like, this land of unforeseen consequences is dangerous. Paul in Smyrna, you have some thoughts on Iran. Paul, you're on Super Talk. What's up?
Yeah, well, we got a couple problems here. First of all, that this is biblical, and this is a war that's going to continue way after we are off this planet. It's been going on for about 3,000 years. It's not going to stop. God will take care of his people, and we have a history to show that, number one.
Well, I don't know. If you listen to the mainstream conservative groupthink right now, we could end this 3,000 year war today if we wanted to.
That's not going to happen, and that's just blasphemy. If true Christians know the whole outcome, if you read Scripture, you already know this is already prophesied. So, more importantly, the $6 billion that the United States gave for the hostages, I don't even want to hear that, because remember the Iran-Contra scandal where we sold weapons to Iran. Let's not forget about that. So the United States has always played both sides.
No, and
it's all about money.
It seems like the military-industrial complex does not care who they sell weapons to.
Just like we don't care if we sell a AR-15 to an 18-year-old.
Yeah,
we don't care about that either.
I'm fine with that. And if you look at what happened at that music festival, I think that they would have been in better shape if more 18-year-olds were armed.
Okay, so that's not that again. An 18-year-old does not have the mental capacity to understand actions and to even defend themselves.
No, I don't agree with that. I mean, listen, 18-year-olds might be naive in some aspects, but if they're old enough to go fight in war, they can carry.
I was in the military and I trained every day. Every single day. And there is a mental attitude that you have to have, which I did not have at 18 years old. So no, sir. You're getting somebody who's not been trained. That's the worst thing you can do. Give somebody a weapon. Just look at what Germany did when they ran out of soldiers, when they were putting 16 and 17 and old men out there on the front lines. That didn't end so well. Come on now. We have to use common sense. We have to use I'm not going to get on the gun control, because we, as a nation, we should do better.
Which way do you vote, Paul?
I vote on the best candidate possible.
I don't know. I'm starting to think you vote blue no matter who, Paul.
No, because that's not true at all. And I'm gonna tell you right now, Donald Trump won because Hillary Clinton was on that side. We did not have any choices, no choices, and we still don't have any choices. When will people understand this? We need to putting quality, competent people in the White House, and it has nothing to do with Republican or Democrat. It has nothing. This is not a left or right thing. This is a human thing. It's an integrity thing. You're going to put Donald Trump in there, who's been immoral and unethical since his birth, and you want to see he's your Messiah? It's not going to work.
You said Donald Trump's been unethical since his birth?
Since his birth, and I can prove it to you over and over and over. I love to give you data somewhere where we can have a meet and greet and a sit down. But Donald Trump is not new.
I mean, Donald Trump had peace. He was brokering peace deals in the Middle East. I don't know.
Oh my God! Wait a minute. Hold on. Give me one more second. What about the international conflicts when the Russian and the Chinese boats are right next to us in international waters, and we did nothing?
Well, what about the Abraham Accords 2.0? I mean, I don't know, man. You had me going, but I don't know. You lost me.
It's okay to agree to disagree, but my
100%.
the point is there are qualified, very important and educated people to run this country, and we want to get this populism of politics that doesn't work. We have to get back and find the best person.
Yeah, and I agree. I agree. We do need to find the best person, Paul. Thanks for the call. I just happen to think that the best person for the job is Donald Trump. I mean, hey, none of this would have been happening with Trump. Russia wouldn't have gone into Ukraine. I don't think Hamas would have attacked Israel. And we certainly wouldn't be on the edge of our seats waiting to see if China was going to take Taiwan. Yet here we are, 10:52 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Right now in Wilson County, the Lebanon Town Square has been reopened after a hazmat situation. Back here in Nashville, the North Loop around downtown, we got some police activity. The right lane is blocked. That's going to be 65 southbound right after the 24-65 split. And again, Lebanon, the downtown square has been reopened after that hazmat situation. Near continuous explosions in Gaza City and other top stories at 11 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Ken Weaver. Getting a bunch of texts in. I appreciate all the texts. I appreciate everybody not making this an echo chamber. I got one text. 6436 has been hard on me all day. Said I would have never guessed WTN would have a pacifist. He also said Chris is turning into a Democrat using feelings as a decision maker.
What?
You don't think I'm a Democrat, do you, Mac?
I'm gonna go no. I'm gonna go no on that one.
All right. Well, he also
pass.
said Mac is a yes man to Chris. So.
Oh well.
This was predictable. It's 11 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
$11 o'clock on the dot this Monday morning. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Right now in Wilson County, Lebanon Town Square has reopened after that chemical incident. Police, fire, emergency management still on the scene. And again, it is reopened. More airstrikes in Gaza this morning. This as the conflict in the Middle East continues.
Airstrikes continuing over Gaza, retaliation against Hamas for the surprise Israel incursion that has left more than 1,000 people dead. ABC News world news anchor David Muir in Tel Aviv.
The Israeli Defense Ministry declaring a total siege of the Gaza Strip. No power, no water, no electricity. They say they're dealing with barbaric terrorists and that we will act accordingly. This is Israel's 9/11.
With more on Israel's possible role in planning the attack and the attack on Iran, Deputy National Security Advisor Jonathan Feiner telling Good Morning America that role of Iran has not yet been confirmed.
What we don't have is direct information that shows Iranian involvement in ordering or planning the attacks that took place over the last couple of days. It's something that we're going to keep looking at closely. And by the way, this is what the Israeli government has said as well.
The spokesman does say the Israeli military has regained control of border communities taken by Hamas fighters during the attack.
That is Daria Albinger reporting. Meanwhile, in another part of the world, a frantic search for survivors in Afghanistan after a powerful earthquake struck multiple towns over the weekend. More than 2,500 people confirmed dead, thousands more hurt. And here in the U.S., union workers at Mack Trucks, the latest auto workers to go out on strike. 4,000 unionized workers at the company walking off the job this morning. It now brings the total number of UAW members on strike to above 30,000 in 22 states. That's the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Wow, 2 hours down on the Chris Hand Show, 11:05 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. We have spent most of the day talking about what's happening in Israel. And, I've been alienating half of my audience. I knew coming in here, no matter what stance you take on it,
of course,
you're going to piss off half your audience. So, kind of like damned if you do, damned if you don't, right? I'm just to rehash my take. I'm just anti getting into another forever war with Americans. I think that what happened was just awful. I don't think innocents should ever be slaughtered. I'm not a fan of terrorists going after women and children. And I think Israel has every right to defend themselves, right? So, that being said, I don't think Israel needs our help. And I don't think that this lapse in intelligence that allowed these guys to come through a border, one of the most secure borders in the world, I don't think that should be our priority before we get our own border straight. You know, the border that we have where people on the terror watch list are walking across every day, where Chinese nationals are walking across every day, where, third world countries are emptying their prisons and sending them up there. 6436 says, what makes you think this is going to be a forever war? Just recent history. Just the last couple of forever wars we've been getting ourselves into. The weak administration that we have via Joe Biden. The woke military leadership that we have. It just seems like this would be a forever war. 0227 says, just don't agree with some of your soy boy thoughts. All right. I didn't know today was going to be the day I got called a soy boy, but here we are.
For just not wanting mass genocide.
That's the thing. I think Israel has every right to go in, fight, defend themselves, defend their borders, defend their sovereignty, all that. 100% agree with, 100% okay with. Don't think we need to be involved. Don't think that the talking points of wipe them off the face of the earth is cool. I just not a fan of genocidal talking points and ethno-cleansing. It just seems weird. Is that a soy boy opinion? I don't know. Stephanie says, I don't think they understand what a soy boy is. I think a lot of people that push for war and like this war stuff and beat the war drum are either making money off of it or have never seen it. Period. You're either not it's not something you've seen firsthand, or you're making money off of it. Because war is hell. And no matter what, there on both sides, there's going to be a lot of innocent lives lost. I just don't like the warmongering. I don't like the beating of the war drum. And to me, it seems like everybody on the right is like, we gotta defend Israel. I think Israel's going to be fine. I do. But I think they have every right to defend themselves. I don't know. Cut in Nashville, you have a thought on Iran. What's up, Cut?
Yeah, hey, what's going on, man? First off, Israel can take care of itself, okay? Now, something don't smell right, because you think back, man, how much money do we spend on the vaunted Red Army with, to defend against Russia? And now they're in a stalemate with Ukraine? Really? And you're going to tell me that Mossad didn't catch wind of all this? Because if they fired 3,000 rockets, man, somebody had to see something somewhere.
Well, and my thing is with that, it's like, how do you not know that any of this is coming, yet hours later you're like, Iran's been planning it for weeks and we knew. Well, you found that out in 3 hours, but you didn't know before?
Exactly. I mean, you can't tell me the CIA, Mossad, some of these intelligence agencies didn't catch wind. Something smells fishy, real fishy. And like I said, with Mossad not knowing anything about it, and it was in their front yard, not even the backyard, come on, man.
No, and Mossad is one of the best intelligence agencies
Dude,
in the entire world. Like, if not the best.
If you can't find something out, you go to Mossad. They got tentacles everywhere.
Oh,
and they couldn't find out something in their front yard. Come on, man.
And they're all integrated with Five Eyes. They know what's happening.
Yes. So somebody had to know something. I mean, like I said, all this smells real fishy to me, man. Real fishy.
Listen, and I said it earlier. I feel like the powers that be are always fine with sacrificing a pawn to win the chess game.
Right.
And I don't want to go full tinfoil, but it's like, so did somebody leave the back door open?
Man, you ain't going tinfoil. Let's put it like this. I'm not that stupid. Really? Come on. You can tell me whatever, but I'm not that stupid. So it's not tinfoil.
All right. Hey, man.
Tinfoil at all.
I appreciate you. I appreciate you hanging on the line and waiting, man. I really do. Thanks for the call. All right, brother.
All right.
Hey, Rich in Tullahoma, you got some thoughts on the CIA. Rich, you're on Super Talk. What's up?
Hey, man. So check it out. Chris, I've got years of my life between Afghanistan and Iraq, right? And these guys calling you soy boy and all this nonsense. I'll tell you one thing, they've never seen a second of combat. So they have no idea what the hell they're talking about. You're right on the spot. We don't need to get into another war. Look at what they did to us and all the emotional response weeks on end, shoving 9/11 repetitively over the television. How do you get into the human brain? How do you create muscle memory through neural pathways? Repetition.
And here's what they're doing. And they're doing it on all these major news networks. They're like, this is Israel's 9/11. This is Israel's 9/11. More Jews have been killed since the Holocaust in one day. It's like, okay, like maybe that's true, but it just feels like you're coming at me with emotion.
That's all it is, man. And they're trying to play on the emotion of society to get us driven into this war. They need to have this war because they have to have something to fall back on all of these billions and billions of dollars. Ukraine was a complete flop in their money laundering nonsense scheme, so now they have to have Israel. Who's behind it all? Israel is. Why not? Right? And so where was Mossad when we invaded Iraq and Afghanistan? Where were the Israels?
Well,
I've spent a lot of time on NATO and
Netanyahu was telling us that Iraq had weapons of mass destruction.
Exactly. Getting us into another war. I spent a lot of time on ISAF and NATO bases overseas, man. Not once did I ever see an Israeli flag. And I know for sure we were playing cat and mouse with Mossad in some of those places. So how does that work out? I'm just saying, man, these people that are wanting to go to war, even Jim Jordan is starting to beat that drum. One of the last people I ever expected to do that. It's like, really? We really want to go to war with Iran? We might as well go to war with China and Russia all at the same time. Let's get it over with.
Yep. It just seems like it's intentional weakening of our country all across the board.
Absolutely. And I think people need to shut up with their nonsense of let's nuke them and turn it to glass and all that. People need to stop that, take a 40,000-foot view, and look at what's truly going on here. Unplug the damn television and throw it out the window, number one. Unplug from the Matrix and see what's truly happening here. Do they want Christians to go kill Muslims for the Jews? That's how it's working out.
I don't know, man. It's crazy times we're living in, Rich. Thanks for the call. I think, no matter how you slice it, it just seems like you're getting propaganda from both sides. Like even if you turn on a conservative news network, you're getting propaganda. If you turn on a liberal news network, you're getting propaganda. And it's like anytime anything happens with Israel and Palestine, it just seems like it's all propaganda from all sides. It's so hard to find a just down the middle news article on this without any lean. There's going to be some lean. There's going to be some propaganda in it. And I just want to take a step back and wait. That's it. Why do we have to be gung-ho? I had a texter said that Gateway Pundit, this is from 4473, said Gateway Pundit was reporting on the strong likelihood of a war in Israel weeks ago. I've not seen that report, but it wouldn't shock me. And if that reporting's happening, how did Mossad miss it if a reporter at the Gateway Pundit had it? Steven in Nashville, you got a comment on war. Steven, you're on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. What's up, Steve?
Hey, man, I really enjoy your show. I'm glad you're on the air here. Did you ever get to listen to Phil Valentine?
Yeah, he was one of my favorites. I love Phil.
Yeah, I did too. I miss him very much.
Me too.
But I really enjoy your show, so I'm glad you're here. One quick thing too, it just makes me wonder. You can't help but wonder if we're not. It makes you wonder. Are we in end days? I mean, we have earthquakes going on. There was a major earthquake we just heard on your network in Afghanistan. There were 3 this week. Earthquakes, wars, rumors of wars, truth standing on its head with people saying that, a frog can be a bird and a boy can be a girl and all this kind of thing. It's just, we're in crazy times, that's for sure. But what you commented about people that want war, you think are either making money or they haven't seen it, really reminded me of one day when I was with my grandfather and I was a teenager and the Iran hostage crisis was happening. And I was all gung-ho and pissed. And I said, I wish I could go over there and just find those people that are holding our people and go to war with them. And he said, you don't know what you're talking about. Granddaddy fought at Saipan, Okinawa.
Oh, so he had seen some things.
In the Pacific. He'd seen it. And he was just your old basic man, like not old man, but I mean just your basic down-to-earth guy, salt of the earth. But he scolded me and he said, you don't know what you're talking about. You do not want to go to war. You better pray you never see it. And I just thought you were spot on. And I want to let you know that I heard those words from someone who had seen it and was telling me I didn't know what I was talking about.
No, hey man, I appreciate the call, Steve. Thank you so much. And to be fair, I have not seen combat. I've not served in the military. I almost did, and took my test, got a decent score, but a radio station called me, and I went the radio route, see how that would pan out, and it kind of did for me. I have a lot of friends that have served in the military, a lot of family that have served in Air Force, Army, down the board. I know Marines, and everybody says the same thing. The people that call for war haven't seen it. This is not something that you want at your front doorstep. And I personally feel like we are neglecting our issues at home. We're neglecting our southern border. We're neglecting the failures that we have in government. And we're just waiting for this to happen here. And listen, we can spread ourselves thin. We can go fight in Ukraine and fight the Ruskies if that's what you want to do. We can go fight the jihadists for Israel when Israel can probably handle it on their own. But hey, man, maybe we could just fix our problems at home first. Is that too much? And the emotional programming that they keep pushing us. Oh, this is Israel's 9/11. It's like that's sad, and I agree it's bad. And I'm not like saying that they don't have a right to defend themselves, but I think it's their job to defend themselves. It's their job. We have the equivalent of 9/11 happening with the fentanyl that comes across our border every single year, and we do nothing. You want to get me ginned up and gassed up for a war? How about we go across the border into Mexico and start going after cartels? Let's go after people that are actually affecting the citizens in our country. But we just got out of the Middle East, and we got Republicans and war hawks like Lindsey Graham saying we got to go blow up Iranian oil refineries. Okay. Or maybe if we just didn't have a weak administration giving them $6 billion for hostages, maybe they wouldn't have had the money for this attack in the first place. But the fact that Mossad and the CIA didn't see this coming, that doesn't pass the smell test for me. It just doesn't. Does it pass the smell test for you? I mean, and at the end of the day, this was on the 50th anniversary of the Yom Kippur War. So, guys, dates, radical Islam, that's a thing. Israel knows that that's a thing. They didn't see it coming. I mean, either it was an unprecedented error, okay? Or maybe they left the back door open. I have no idea. But it just doesn't pass the smell test. It is 11:20 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. You can find me off air on Twitter, True Social, Instagram, at Chris Hand on air. Hit the follow button. I will follow back. I got a mean tweet a little while ago. It said, when will Dan Mandis grow a pair and send Chris Hand and his spineless you-know-what back to where he came from? The real WTN listeners are getting sick of you. You don't like group speak unless it's in agreement with your liberal BS. Oh, all right. And with that, sir, I will bid you adieu. It's 11:21 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, it's Chris Hand for Paul Winkler Inc. I'm a husband. I got 4 wonderful kids, and me and my wife, we didn't have a financial plan. But as you can imagine, that financial stability is a massive priority, especially in this ever-changing world. You know, we're thinking about the future, maybe paying for college if the kids want it, definitely, hopefully paying for weddings, and having that plan is critical. Well, I didn't have a plan until I linked up with Paul and his team, and Paul and his team hold themselves to a higher level of fiduciary standard than is required. And because of that, government regulators require that I tell you I'm paid every time this commercial airs, and that is true. I am. But if you meet Paul, you'll feel the exact same way I did when I got to meet Paul. This guy is honest, he's smart, and even more than that, he can break it down and answer my questions honestly so that not only can I understand the decisions that he's making, I kind of learn a lot from him. Paul's a smart guy. He knows this financial world better than I do. And with Paul and his team, a big thing for me, nothing is done on commission. So you know when they're trying to help you make your financial decisions, they're helping you make your financial decisions, not, their financial decisions, because nothing is done on commission. He's made our financial goals far more realistic by explaining what to do and why he can do the same for you. Their investment education is evidence-based and backed by Nobel Prize-winning research. So do what I did. Check these guys out. Every office is run by a degreed planner with over 20 years of experience, and that experience is the difference between Paul's team and the rest. Talk to one of his team members today by setting up a complimentary 15-minute phone call on his website, paulwinkler.com. That's paulwinkler.com, or call 615-851-1950.
Getting kind of messy out there in traffic right before lunchtime. Got a series of crashes. Left lane blocked, 24 eastbound, right there at Shelby Avenue downtown. And then 65 southbound at Trinity Lane. That'll be just north of downtown. Got more airstrikes in Gaza City. These stories and more at 11:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Ken Weaver. You know, in times like this, we usually look to the commander-in-chief, the president, for a word of encouragement. You know what I mean? Like that the stable voice in the room, right?
Yeah, reassurance.
Yeah.
It's going to be okay.
We'll got to wait till tomorrow.
Huh.
The White House called a lid before noon. We do not expect to see or hear from President Biden for the rest of the day.
I don't think we've seen him yet today.
Well,
wow.
If he gets up at 7:38, like he said yesterday, right?
I get up this morning. He started this at 7:30, 8 o'clock.
So 7:30, 8 o'clock, he gets up.
7:30, 8 o'clock, 9.
You know, get some breakfast. You know, it's he got a couple hours in there.
Pet the new German Shepherd.
Oh my! Have you seen the reports and like videos of him kicking the other German Shepherd?
Yes.
What?
There's videos of him kicking the German Shepherd. Like reports that he would like punch the German Shepherd.
My gosh.
So maybe just spending some time with the dog.
Picking up after the dog, I'm sure.
I mean, let's not clean up any messes anywhere else, but jeez.
I get up about 7:38, 8:39.
I don't know, but at 11:30 Eastern today is it's crazy. 11:30 Eastern, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's office swatted down a report claiming that he received a warning of an imminent attack from Egyptian intelligence chief Abbas Kamal, according to the Times of Israel. Total fake news, the statement says. The leader has not spoken with or met with Kamal since the formation of the government, not by back channels nor directly. So people are out there pushing back that this was a surprise attack, and the Israeli government is calling that fake news. I just have a hard time that passes the smell test for me. Maybe I'm wrong, but this is, again, why I don't want to be emotionally manipulated by the news into making decisions. I'd rather be patient and wait this thing out and see really what happened. Of course, the Washington Post says it could take years to unravel what happened with their intelligence failure. So it's just a mess. It's an absolute mess what's happening. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken appears to have deleted a tweet saying he encouraged Turkey's efforts to negotiate a ceasefire between Israel and Hamas. That, you know, that to me is weird too. Like, why can't you push for a ceasefire? I get Israel's not going to do it. I get Israel's pissed. But doesn't it seem like the level-headed thing to do, push for peace? I don't know. I just think that this is the beginning of something very, very bad. I think this is going to dominate the news for a few days, and I'm very curious to see what happens next. Because no matter how you slice it, it doesn't look good. There's going to be a lot of lives lost. And if Israel does go into Gaza, I mean, that's urban warfare. That is the deadliest and most brutal. And again, a lot of innocent lives will be lost, no matter how you slice it. And no matter where you get your news from right now, you're going to have it with a side of propaganda. So enjoy. 11:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Ken Weaver's got the news.
$11:30 on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories this Monday morning. Full forecast coming up in 2 minutes. We've got a crash. It is blocking eastbound the East Loop downtown. That's 24 eastbound right there at Shelby Avenue. And then in Lebanon, you've got South Cumberland Street between West Spring Street and Gay Street blocked for hazmat cleanup. Evacuations have been lifted. That's the good news after a chemical fire there shut down the Lebanon town square. More airstrikes in Gaza. Part of Israel's response to Hamas militants who launched a widespread attack on its citizens over the weekend. Meanwhile, in another part of the world, frantic search for survivors in Afghanistan after a massive earthquake. At least 2,500 are dead, thousands more injured. And here in this country, 4,000 union workers at Mack Trucks are the latest auto workers to go on strike. And Walgreens workers are walking off the job today at some of the various stores across the nation. That's the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Hey folks, Paul Winkler here. One of the things that we see from time to time, well, way too often, is this. Let's say that you go to a financial advisor and they say, hey, you need to set up an investment portfolio, and what we need to do is we need to have some of your money in stocks or mutual funds or ETFs or something like that, and we need to have something fixed or guaranteed in your investment portfolio that'll protect you against the market downturns. And quite often what they're talking about, they may not use this word, but often what they're talking about is putting your money into some sort of an annuity, like an indexed annuity or something like that, or a fixed annuity. And what they're doing is they're saying, hey, let's put your money in both of these, which sounds really good. And you should. And typically in an investment portfolio, you do want to have fixed investments and stocks as well in the portfolio to protect against inflation. But here's what happens when you manage a portfolio. Let me use a really, really simple example. Let's say I have a portfolio and I got stocks in there. Then I have my fixed income, my bonds in the portfolio as well. And let's say I have half my money in each. When stocks really do well, what we want to do is they're going to be overweighted in my portfolio. I own too much of them because they've done well compared to bonds. It was supposed to be half and half, and now maybe it's 70% stocks and 30% bonds, let's say, or something like that. So I want to sell some of this and buy some of that to bring it back to 50-50 and back and forth throughout time. Well, the problem is when you're managing a portfolio and rebalancing in that way, bringing it back to the original portfolio mix of half and half in my example, I'm going to have to incur a trading cost or a commission or a back-end surrender with the annuity. It doesn't make any sense to use that product in this particular manner. Why do people do it? Well, the reason quite often is this. Commissions are very high with these products. And a lot of firms, they actually require their advisors to recommend a certain amount of annuities for every person that walks in the door. Now, typically annuities are used for a different purpose. They were actually designed for a totally different purpose. And that was distribution toward the end of life. When somebody looks like they're going to run out of money, they're annuitized. Now, let me tell you something. One study showed there was only like 5% of annuities are ever used in that fashion. Most often they're sold as an accumulation vehicle like this, and they were never really designed for that purpose. If you want to learn more, call us for a free 15-minute phone call or go to our website, paulwinkler.com. The number 615-851-1950 or paulwinkler.com. We don't do anything on commission, and we like to rail against these types of things and help investors do what is in their best interest. paulwinkler.com.
11:35 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. I took a couple days off. My sister was getting married. I'm back today, and when I was off, I thought that there was a lot of news that I'd be covering. You know, the Biden administration apparently going to be working on the border wall again after they said that they would never build any more border wall, and they sold border wall supplies. Now they're going to buy more border wall supplies. I thought that was like, oh, okay, maybe I'll talk about that. And I thought, we'll definitely be talking about the speaker race. That was one thing I thought I would talk about on Monday. Oh, yeah. It's the speaker race, right? That'll be big news still, I would assume. Hillary Clinton saying she wants to put us all in re-education camps. I thought that was going to be a big story, too. The FBI adding Trump supporters to lists. I mean, how many lists can I make? So I thought that would be big news too. But no, I haven't talked about any of them.
Nope.
Hard pass. The only thing to talk about is, of course, Israel, Hamas, Iran, forever wars. And I want to know what you think about it. 615-737-9986. I get a lot of people who are calling me a liberal. A lot of people are saying because I'm not supportive of war and that I don't want to jump into a war with Iran, that I'm a liberal soy boy. You're welcome to call 615-737-9986. I don't want the show to be an echo chamber. But at times it does feel like an echo chamber. Not on the super text line, though. On the super text line, half of you guys agree with me. Half of you guys have been roasting me. But I will say one thing that I've noticed today. You know, I said war is hell, and a lot of people that cheer it on, like Lindsey Graham and a lot of the conservative influencers that we've seen over the weekend, they, in my opinion, have never seen war. I'm getting called a liberal Canadian by 0467. But
oh gosh.
But a lot of these people that are calling for war, I feel like haven't seen it. And that's one of my biggest takeaways. War is hell. War is hell. And I'm not sure that this is the right war to jump into. So you tell me what you think. 615-737-9986. 615-737-9986. I'm honestly curious if somebody disagrees where you're at. You know? Where are you on this? I got a text from 7467. War is hell. I've been there. I agree. Well, 1037 says, I'll tell you what I've noticed. How much more oxygen is in the air because all of the death in Israel. It's like, okay, chill. It's like, and this is one of the things that I keep stressing. It's terrible what happened. It is. But I can't help but think Israel can handle it on its own. And us jumping in the mix is only going to complicate things further. Got a text from 8602. World War III is on the horizon, and there's nothing good about that, so we should not take the bait. And this is where I'm at, too. I feel like it is bait. I feel like they are baiting us into war. Am I the only one that feels like that? And I feel like we're going to have problems here before we know it. 168 points it out. We're going to see war here because I'm sure there are sleeper cells here that have come through Mexico. Exactly. How many terrorists have gotten through the southern border? How many? We quite literally are seeing people that are on the terror watch list coming through the southern border. It's crazy. It's crazy. But maybe I'm wrong. 615-737-9986. It just feels like this is emotional manipulation on these conservative news networks, and I'm just not a fan of it. I'm not. I can't get down with that. I don't want to be emotionally manipulated into a war with Iran when Israel can handle their own problems with Hamas. Israel can easily handle their own problems with Hezbollah. You know, we got Ukraine and Russia happening. We have Israel and Palestine happening. And, you know, before we know it, thanks to the weakness of the Joe Biden administration, we're going to have China and Taiwan. We just will. The war machine keeps grinding. 3258, first-time texter said, I'm sorry, but Israel is God's people, and we have to support them, or we will reap the consequences of God. We should fear God more. I do fear God. And I also agree that Israel can handle themselves, and we don't need to help. What do you think? Don in Murfreesboro, you're on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. What's up, Don?
Hey, Chris, welcome back. Hey, it's not about what you're saying that people are reacting to, and I don't say that I agree with it. It's what you're not saying. And, I mean, if Israel were actually in trouble, I'd swim there to help, you know. But the issue is this has been a cascading effect. Step by step by step, we walk away from oil independence, and all it does is build all sorts of counter issues that happen. And I've for a long time said, if we would just get the heck out of Israel's way and let them do what they need to do, they don't need us. And it goes all the way back to biblical times where they were given very specific instructions by God on how to deal with this foe, and they failed to do it. And we just need to shut up, back off, stay out of their way. And if it comes to the point where they need our help, they're going to be the first ones to ask. They don't need us one bit.
Completely agree. Thanks for the call, Don. You know, I think he's absolutely right. They literally whipped up 300,000 troops in 2 days. They are more than prepared for this. Hey, Travis on line 2. You're on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. What's up, Travis?
Good morning. Good morning. I've been listening to you. I agree with everything you are saying. We shouldn't even get involved with the Israel war. First of all, I like to say that with the immigrants that's in New York City, a lot of people don't know that they living in hotels now. The government providing hotels for them. The American homeless are sleeping on the street. And like you saying about the terrorist people coming across the border, we can't even imagine how many terrorists that's already in this country that's waiting for their order to attack America from the inside out. I think we're being destroyed from the inside out by deep state, and this thing is bigger than what we can ever imagine. Israel is just something they're using to get us involved and get us all,
Oh, it gets us all. Yeah, it gets us all whipped up and distracted. You know, thanks for the call, Travis. It's amazing. The Israel-Palestine thing happens, and we're no longer talking about Ukraine. We're no longer talking about the Biden crime family. We're no longer talking about Hillary wanting to put us into re-education camps. We're not talking about the border wall. I mean, we're not talking about the settlement in north of Houston. What's the name of that settlement? I forgot the name of it, but it's the guy's selling. He's selling plots of land to non-U.S. citizens, and the cartel is setting up shop there.
Colony Ridge.
Colony Ridge.
That's it.
Thank you. But this is what happens. We totally get whipped up into a frenzy, and we forget what's happening in front of our eyes, under our nose, and we have so many problems in this country. Philadelphia looks like a zombie apocalypse because of the fentanyl and the horse tranquilizer that these people are coming in, that it's coming across our southern border. We got cartels. We got human trafficking. We have human smuggling. But you want me to worry about a war with Israel and Palestine that Israel can handle on their own? I just can't help but not get behind that. Just can't. I got a text from 3630. Says, totally disagree. You're welcome to call in, 3630, and tell me why. I don't want it to be an echo chamber. Brian, you're on Super Talk, line 3. Brian, you're on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. What's up, Brian?
How are we doing today?
Good, man. How are you?
I'm doing all right. I just want to call and give you some encouragement. I believe with all my heart that Jesus Christ is Lord. I'm a combat vet. I went through Fallujah in 04 and 05, and I've seen that side of hell. And we don't need that here. We don't need that there, anywhere else. If you believe that Jesus Christ is Lord and you've read the New Testament, you know we're supposed to love. You can't kill in the name of love.
Amen.
And that's, we're supposed to pray for our enemies and not destroy them. Let God have his vengeance, and we'll be okay. So everybody just stay in prayer and stay peaceful and have a wonderful day every day, because everyone's a gift.
Hey, you're absolutely right. Appreciate the call, Brian. And again, I would just say I think that we don't need to get involved because Israel can protect themselves. John and Franklin, you're on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. What's up, John?
Good morning, Chris. I'm going to disagree with a lot of things that
Please do.
Here. I've been to Israel quite a number of times. The people that you're dealing with over there are very rapacious. When you're going in and you're kidnapping people, killing people, and Israel can take care of itself, have no doubt. However, world opinion stops them from taking care of these people and eliminating the problem.
So, but here's what gets me, John. You agree with me that Israel can handle themselves, but then you go, the talking point that you use is eliminate the problem. It's like,
you bet.
Yeah, but it just feels like final solution conversation.
But if you don't eliminate the problem, it's going to continue to go back and come back again.
Yeah, but that's like the same stuff Hitler said. Like, that's just
No, it's not. No, it's not. Because the thing is that the problems he created. This is talking about eliminating a problem that is attacking you. If we went into Afghanistan, into Iraq, to eliminate the Taliban and all the other things, we didn't sit there and go, well, let's forgive them. They're just this.
But your point is that we went in to eliminate them, and how did that work out? Who's in control in Afghanistan?
Well, that's because of weak leadership, and that's the problem all the way down the line with every country. Again, the world opinion on Israel, they come at them so hard they can't move any direction because they've been whipped up into a frenzy over Israel is evil, and they're not the things that are being said by the media, and they're not the things that are being said by the leaders. I mean, seriously, look at it. You got your back to the wall. These people live in terror. I've been there. In 6 days, I missed 4 events by an hour. I was in the Philippines with these people. I missed the bombing by 2 minutes. These people don't care. They're going to come after people in Israel. This is a biblical brothers fight.
Yeah, but what's stopping Israel from handling it, and why does that mean that we need to get involved as the United States of America?
If you don't want to get involved, then don't get involved.
I don't want to get involved. I just feel like every talking head on every news station is telling me that we need to stop what we're doing and head to Israel and fight Hamas.
Okay, I don't agree with the things that are going on in Ukraine, but my tax dollars are being put into that. So it's like I'm sitting here going the same thing that you are. I don't want to be involved in that, but I am. So, I mean, Israel, first of all, is the only peace place in the Middle East. Syria surrounding it. Lebanon is an absolute disaster. It's surrounded by that. Most of the inventions that we deal with, telephones, etc., medical advancements, come out of Israel.
Yeah, but John, none of that speaks to my point of they got 300,000 troops ready to go in 2 days. Why can't they handle it themselves?
They can handle it themselves, but
we should let them then. But we should let them.
But you're right. That I agree with you on, but we do not. That is the problem. We don't allow them to do that. The world opinion does not allow them to defend themselves. They're always the bad guy. They're not. They're being attacked on a continual daily basis.
I mean, and I'll have to disagree with you there, and I do got to hit a break, John, but I appreciate your call, and I appreciate you jumping in with a counter opinion. You know, I don't think that the world always says Israel is the bad guy. I feel like the world always tells us Israel's our greatest ally. That's what I see. That's what I've been seeing on every network, CNN, Fox News, MSNBC, you name it. We're going to see it on the World News tonight on ABC. Greatest ally. Just let them handle their own business. 11:51 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Chris Handon with Matt Murphy. What up, Murph?
What's going on? What's happening?
Not
Anything?
much.
Been out of pocket. Any news?
No,
Yeah,
nothing's going on.
There's news.
Nothing's
A lot of
happening.
news. You know, that news was so big. I was at my investment seminar, and they broke in. There were a lot of television screens involving some of the investment practices that a lot of people were involved in. And they busted in. So they busted in on the sports book to tell us about the situation going on in Israel. I thought that was weird. I mean, I guess it's big. It potentially could be world war.
It's interesting. It's interesting.
Is it really, Chris? Is it interesting?
You have piqued my interest.
I mean, you asked. I told you.
So where are you at? What are you thinking? Give me your take.
All right,
without giving me your take.
Well, here's how the show starts today, and this is just my take on it. Take away whether or not you believe that the United States has some sort of moral obligation to be a part of any of this. Take away, the fact that we have a completely inept president of the United States of America, which I think lends to this type of behavior around the world. And I think you can point to Donald Trump as an example of, over the course of 4 years, this kind of garbage didn't go on.
Bingo.
You take everything away about the Middle East conflict and just ask one question. Regarding Israel and Palestinians, ask yourselves, who are the good guys and who are the bad guys? And I think depending on your answer, that's largely going to that's going to determine how the conversation goes. And that's what we'll talk about today.
It's going to be fun. I'm excited to listen.
Have you been having fun?
I have been having fun.
By the way, this subject, and I'm not playing grandpa, but this subject is like 10 times worse than the abortion subject when it comes to emotions.
The audience is one way or the other. There's no gray area.
It's great.
It's Super Talk
Great.
99.7 WTN.